Silent revenge. I exposed my cheating wife, obliterated her career and her lover's life. What happened next will shock you. My story of brutal betrayal and ultimate payback. My entire world just imploded, and I'm not sure how to put the pieces back together. Long. Okay, throw away for obvious reasons. I'm still trying to process everything, but I need to get this out. I thought I had the perfect life, the perfect marriage. My wife, Sarah, and I have been together for 12 years, married for 8. We met in college, grew up together, built a beautiful home, and we're finally talking about starting a family. We had good careers. I'm in tech, she's a marketing executive, no major financial worries, a great group of friends. Everyone always said we were couple goals. I believed it, wholeheartedly. Looking back now, I can see the cracks started appearing a few months ago, maybe even longer. I just chose to ignore them or rationalize them away. Sarah started working longer hours. More urgent client meetings that ran late into the night. Sometimes she'd come home after I was already asleep or before I woke up. I noticed she was spending a lot more time on her phone, always with it face down, or taking it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. If I ever asked about her day, she'd give these vague, almost dismissive answers, like I was annoying her. She became sharper. Little things would set her off. A dish left in the sink, me forgetting to pick up dry cleaning, even just asking what she wanted for dinner. She'd snap, then usually apologize later, blaming stress from work. And I bought it every single time. My sweet, caring Sarah was just overworked. I tried to be supportive, to make things easier for her. I'd cook more, clean more, give her space when she seemed overwhelmed. I just wanted my wife back. Little did I know, she was already gone. This creeping dread started in my gut, a low hum of anxiety I couldn't shake, but I never let it surface. I told myself I was being paranoid, that relationships have their ups and downs. God, I was so stupid. The dam finally broke about 2 weeks ago. Sarah had gone on what she called a last-minute business trip to Miami, a big conference, she said, crucial for her career. She was supposed to be gone for 4 days. The night before she left, she was unusually affectionate, almost too much so, like she was overcompensating. I brushed it off as her trying to make up for being distant. I dropped her off at the airport, gave her a kiss, told her to have a good trip, and reminded her I loved her. She just gave a quick, almost forced smile and said, "You too, babe," before practically sprinting through security. I spent the first 2 days missing her, then the third day, I decided to do something productive. Our home office had become a bit of a disaster zone. Papers everywhere, old electronics, just general clutter. Sarah was usually the neat freak, but lately, she hadn't touched it. As I was sorting through a stack of old magazines and junk mail, I found a small, fancy leather-bound journal tucked underneath some old tax documents. It wasn't hers, or at least, not one I recognized. It had no name on it, but it looked expensive. My initial thought was that it was something for work she'd accidentally left behind. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it up, hoping to find a clue as to whose it was so I could return it. What I found instead, well, it wasn't a work journal. Not in the traditional sense. The first few pages were blank, then there were dates, handwritten entries. And they weren't about marketing strategies or client pitches. They were about him. David. Our secret getaway. Can't wait for Miami. He makes me feel alive again. Each entry was like a punch to the gut. My hand started shaking so violently, I almost dropped the journal. It was raw, explicit even, detailing secret rendezvous, gifts, the passion she felt for this other man. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The world went silent around me, except for that terrible, rhythmic thump. Every word was a knife twist. Every sentence, a betrayal. Miami. My stomach dropped. She wasn't at a conference. She was on a secret getaway. With him. I sat there on the floor of the office, surrounded by the mess, the journal open in my trembling hands, reading until my eyes burned. It wasn't just a few entries. This had been going on for months. Each date correlated with one of her late nights or business trips I had so naively accepted. The worst part was reading about how she talked about me. My boring husband. He just doesn't get me anymore. Trapped in a dead-end marriage. It wasn't just physical betrayal. It was an emotional massacre. My whole perception of our relationship, of her, shattered into a million irreparable pieces. The woman I loved, The woman I trusted implicitly saw me as a burden, a lie. My first impulse was to call her, to scream, to demand answers. But then I remembered she was supposed to be in Miami, with him. What would I even say? Enjoying your conference, honey, or should I say, David? The rage was a physical thing, a firestorm in my chest, but it was quickly overshadowed by a freezing, hollow despair. I felt sick to my stomach. I went to the bathroom and threw up, dry heaving until I thought my ribs would crack. I knew I couldn't confront her while she was away. I needed to be calm, to have all my ducks in a row. So I spent the next 24 hours in a daze, barely eating, barely sleeping. My mind raced, replaying every moment of our last few months, filtering it through this new, horrifying lens. Every long hour, every stressful day, every averted gaze, it all clicked into place, a mosaic of deception. I felt like a fool, an absolute chump. The pain was so intense it was almost paralyzing. I kept staring at the journal, at the elegant handwriting, trying to reconcile it with the woman I knew. It was impossible. Two different people. One was a fantasy, the other a brutal reality. My brain felt like it was short-circuiting, trying to process this alien truth. I cried, silently at first, then openly, gut-wrenching sobs that tore through me. The sheer injustice of it, the cold-blooded planning, the sheer audacity of her lies, it was too much. When Sarah finally returned home, 3 days later than scheduled, another urgent client meeting apparently stretched the trip. I was a shell of myself. I'd cleaned myself up, put on a brave face, but inside, I was a coiled spring, ready to snap. She breezed in, all smiles and sun-kissed skin, carrying a duty-free bag with some expensive perfume for me. "Missed you, babe," she chirped, leaning in for a kiss. I let her, my lips barely touching hers, tasting the lie. It was a struggle to keep my composure, to not just break down right there. "How was your trip?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. "Oh, typical conference stuff. Networking, presentations, a few late dinners. Exhausting, but productive," she rattled off, already heading to unpack. I followed her into the bedroom, my heart pounding. "Anything exciting happen?" She paused, turning to me with an overly bright smile. "Not really, just work, work, work. Though I did get a chance to see some of the beach on the last day. It was beautiful." She looked away, busy rifling through her suitcase. This was it. This was the moment. I took a deep breath, clutching the journal, which I had hidden in my back pocket. "Actually, Sarah," I said, my voice dropping, "I found something while you were gone. Something that tells a very different story about your business trip." She froze, her back still to me, her hands still in the suitcase. The silence in the room became deafening. She slowly turned, her smile completely vanished, replaced by a guarded, almost fearful expression. Her eyes darted around the room, avoiding mine. "What are you talking about, my name?" Her voice was tight, thin. I pulled out the journal, holding it up for her to see. This secret getaway journal, detailing all your passionate nights with David in Miami and all the other times you worked late or went on business trips. Care to explain this, Sarah?" Her face went from pale to scarlet in an instant. Her jaw clenched, and for a split second, I saw pure panic in her eyes. Then, it hardened into something I barely recognized, a mixture of defiance and cold fury. Where did you get that?" she practically hissed, her eyes fixed on the journal, not me. It was almost comical. Her concern wasn't for me, but for the evidence. The sheer audacity of it left me speechless for a moment. This wasn't the sweet, apologetic Sarah I knew. This was a stranger, a manipulative liar. My chest tightened, and the world felt like it was spinning. I just stared at her, waiting. What could she possibly say? What lie could she conjure up now? She finally broke eye contact with the journal and fixed her gaze on me, a forced calm replacing the panic. "Look, it's not what you think," she started, her voice surprisingly steady, almost bored. "Not what I think," I practically bellowed, the composure I'd clung to shattering. "I think you've been brutally cheating on me for months, lying to my face, calling me boring in your pathetic little diary, and spending my money on secret rendezvous with some other man. What else is there to think, Sarah?" She took a step back, her hands up in a placating gesture. Okay, calm down. Let's talk about this like adults." Her tone was condescending, infuriating. "It's not that big a deal. It was just a fling." I was stressed, overworked, you were distant. Distant? I interrupted, incredulous. I was cooking your dinners, doing your laundry, trying to give you space when you said you were stressed. I was supportive, and you call me distant? Well, you were, she snapped back, her eyes flashing. You never initiated anything anymore. Our sex life was dead. I felt neglected, ignored. David, he just understood me. He made me feel wanted. The gaslighting was immediate, and it was breathtaking in its cruelty. She was twisting everything, blaming me for her betrayal. The anger flared again, hot and blinding. So, you go find some other guy to make you feel wanted instead of talking to me, your husband? The man who loves you, who built a life with you. You just decided to lie and cheat and then blame me for it? Are you hearing yourself, Sarah? She crossed her arms, a stubborn set to her jaw. It wasn't like that. It just happened. And it's over now. I swear. David means nothing. It was just a distraction. I was going to end it after Miami. Oh, really? I scoffed. And you expected me to just believe that? After reading your gushing entries about how much you love him, how he makes you feel alive? How could you do this to me, Sarah? To us? The pain in my voice was raw, unmasked. She actually rolled her eyes. Honestly, you're being so dramatic. People have affairs all the time. It doesn't mean our marriage is over. We can work past this. I'll break up with him. We can go to therapy. Just don't tell anyone, okay? My career would be ruined. Her primary concern was still herself, her image, her career, not the gaping wound she had just inflicted on my soul. My blood ran cold at her words. There was no remorse, no genuine sorrow, just calculation and self-preservation. It was disgusting. Hey everyone, if you're finding this story gripping, please do me a solid and subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video. Your support really helps me share these raw, honest experiences. Her cold indifference was the final nail in the coffin. It wasn't just the affair, it was her absolute lack of empathy, her self-serving excuses, her casual dismissal of my pain. People have affairs all the time, she'd said. As if that made it okay. As if my broken heart was just a minor inconvenience. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and realized the person standing before me was not my wife. She was a stranger, a cruel and heartless one. The anger, which had been a raging inferno, suddenly turned to ice. A chilling calm settled over me. I felt a profound sense of clarity, a quiet resolve that terrified me with its intensity. No, Sarah, I said, my voice barely a whisper, yet it felt like thunder in the room. We are not going to work past this. There is no us anymore. And you know what? Your career is the least of my concerns right now. Her eyes widened slightly, finally registering the shift in my demeanor, the absolute finality in my tone. For the first time, a flicker of genuine fear, not just annoyance, crossed her face. But it was too late. The damage was done. The trust was obliterated. The love had been murdered. I walked past her, my gaze fixed on nothing, and went straight to my study. I started pulling out boxes, methodical and silent. She followed me, her voice shrill now, panic starting to creep in. What are you doing? Are you serious? You're just going to throw everything away for one mistake? I didn't answer. I just kept packing. My clothes, my books, my personal effects. One mistake, I finally said, without looking at her. Months of calculated lies, secret rendezvous, emotional abuse, and calling me boring isn't one mistake, Sarah. It's a pattern of deliberate deception. And I'm not throwing everything away. I'm throwing you away. She started to cry, real tears this time, but they felt manipulative, like a performance. Please, my name, don't do this. I'm so sorry. I messed up. I really am sorry. But it was hollow. I'd seen the real her now, the one who didn't care about me, only about the consequences for herself. Her tears meant nothing. My heart, which had been in a vice grip of agony, now felt numb, detached. The emotional impact was still there, a constant dull ache, but the frantic, desperate pain had subsided, replaced by a cold, sharp resolve. I would not be her victim. I would not let her get away with this. Not without consequences. I spent the night at a friend's place, telling him only the bare minimum, that Sarah had cheated and I was leaving. He was shocked but supportive, offering me a place to stay indefinitely. While I was physically out of the house, my mind was racing, not in a chaotic panic anymore, but with a terrifying precision. I started thinking about the practicalities, the logistics, but also something else. Something colder, darker. The next morning, I returned to the house while Sarah was at work. I put that in quotes now because I genuinely doubted she was doing anything productive, probably nursing a hangover or texting David. I took everything that was unequivocally mine. And then I started digging. I accessed our joint bank accounts, credit card statements, phone bills. I needed proof, undeniable evidence beyond the journal, to protect myself legally. What I found was sickening. Not only had she been using our joint funds for her getaways with David, expensive hotels, fancy dinners, even plane tickets, but she had also been buying him gifts. A high-end watch, some designer clothes, all purchased with our money I had worked hard for. She'd also opened a secret credit card in her name, which I discovered linked to several smaller, recurring charges I didn't recognize, all pointing to hotels and restaurants near our city, indicating local trysts I hadn't even known about. My hands trembled again, not from grief this time, but from a surge of renewed, burning indignation. And then the phone records. Scores of calls and texts to an unknown number. I cross-referenced it with the journal entries. David's number. It confirmed everything, laid bare the extent of her duplicity. I downloaded everything, printing out statements, highlighting every suspicious transaction, every incriminating call. This wasn't just an affair, it was a financial betrayal too. Every piece of paper I held was another brick in the wall of ice forming around my heart. The sadness was now almost completely overshadowed by a cold, calculated fury. My resolve hardened, sharp and unyielding. She thought she could just cry and say sorry, and it would all go away? Not a chance. My revenge would be brutal. And public. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this intense story, please show your appreciation by subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking this video. It helps me a lot. My next move was swift and precise. I contacted a divorce lawyer recommended by a colleague, a shark, known for getting results. I laid out everything. The journal, the financial records, the phone logs. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Brenda, listened intently, nodding occasionally, a grim expression on her face. "You have a very strong case for marital infidelity and financial misconduct," she stated plainly. "We will seek maximum leverage." That same day, I informed Sarah via email, at Brenda's advice, to keep a paper trail, that I had retained counsel and would be filing for divorce. I also informed her that I had moved out and would be staying elsewhere. The email was cold, factual, leaving no room for negotiation or emotional manipulation. I wanted to cut off all avenues for her to worm her way back in or spin more lies. Her response was immediate and hysterical. Calls, texts, voicemails, a barrage of "I love yous," "I'm sorry's," and then quickly shifting to threats. "You can't do this to me. I'll make sure you lose everything. You'll regret this." The desperation in her voice was palpable, but it only strengthened my resolve. It was fear, not remorse, driving her. I ignored her completely, as per Brenda's instructions. Meanwhile, Brenda filed the papers. We also initiated a freeze on our joint accounts and credit cards, ensuring Sarah couldn't drain our shared resources. I changed the locks on our house and set up security cameras. I wasn't just leaving. I was protecting myself, preparing for war. The emotional toll was immense. Despite the clarity, despite the anger, there were still moments of profound grief. Waking up alone in a strange bed, the silence deafening, I'd sometimes just lie there, tears streaming down my face. 12 years. Gone. The future we planned, the children we dreamt of, all evaporated. It was like a death, but worse, because the killer was someone I had loved more than life itself. The ache in my chest was constant, a heavy weight that never lifted. But I refused to let it break me. Every tear was a reminder of what she had done, and it fueled my determination to ensure she paid the price. My brutal revenge wasn't just about punishment. It was about regaining my dignity, my sense of justice. The real brutal revenge began to unfold in stages, each one a calculated move. First, I leaked portions of the journal and the financial records anonymously to a well-known industry blog that covered local marketing executives and their professional conduct. The blog was niche but highly influential within Sarah's professional circles. I didn't mention her by name, just a high-flying marketing executive at a prominent local firm. along with vague details about lavish spending on secret getaways and questionable ethics. The blog post spread like wildfire, generating immense speculation. Sarah was, predictably, furious, knowing it had to be me. She accused me directly in a heated voicemail, which I, of course, saved. Within days, rumors started circulating at her company. Questions were asked. Her boss, a very straight-laced guy, apparently launched an internal investigation into her expense reports, which I knew would reveal inconsistencies and, hopefully, David's connection, as he was a vendor. The pressure on her was immense. She called me, screaming, begging me to retract it, threatening to ruin me. I just listened, calmly, then hung up. Then came the second stage. David. I found out where he worked, a small consulting firm. I sent an anonymous email to his HR department, attaching screenshots of the journal entries that explicitly named him and detailed their illicit encounters, along with the receipts for gifts Sarah had bought him. I also included a polite note suggesting they might want to review his professional conduct, as it involved an affair with a client's executive, potentially a conflict of interest, and certainly unprofessional. The next day, David's firm called me. Apparently, he was married, and his wife had just found out via an anonymous tip, not me, but someone else from the blog post, probably, and had gone ballistic. He was fired on the spot, his marriage in ruins. Sarah called me, not screaming this time, but sobbing hysterically. "What did you do?" she wailed. "David's wife found out. He lost his job. This is all your fault." I didn't say anything, just let her cry. "He left me," she screamed. "He said he can't be with me now, that I've ruined his life." I finally spoke, my voice devoid of emotion. "You ruined your own life, Sarah. You just didn't realize it until now. You made your bed. Now you get to lie in it." I hung up, a strange sense of satisfaction settling over me. It wasn't full retribution yet, but it was a start. The emotional impact on me, however, was also deepening. The satisfaction was fleeting, quickly replaced by a bitter emptiness. Was this truly what I wanted? To destroy someone I once loved? I didn't know anymore. All I knew was that I couldn't stop. The wheels were in motion. The fallout from David's firing and the blog post was catastrophic for Sarah. Her company, facing a PR nightmare and an internal ethics investigation, placed her on administrative leave. She was publicly disgraced, her name being whispered in the industry with disdain. She lost clients, respect, and was essentially blacklisted from future opportunities. Her perfect career, which she valued more than our marriage, was in tatters. She was a pariah. She continued to call and text me, a frantic cascade of messages. Initially, it was anger, then threats, then desperate pleas for me to fix it, to tell everyone it was a misunderstanding. I deleted them all without listening, maintaining strict radio silence. Brenda, my lawyer, advised against any communication, reiterating that everything would be handled through legal channels. During this time, I also quietly reached out to some mutual friends, subtly letting them know about the affair, the financial details, and Sarah's utter lack of remorse. I didn't frame it as gossip. I framed it as explaining why I was so broken and withdrawn, why our marriage had suddenly ended. I shared snippets of her cruel journal entries, her casual disdain for me. I watched as allegiances shifted, as people who had once seen her as perfect now saw her for what she was. Many of our closest friends, horrified by her actions and her indifference, distanced themselves from her. A few confronted her, and she, true to form, either lied or lashed out. Soon, she found herself isolated, abandoned by her social circle. The emotional impact on me was complex. There was a grim satisfaction in watching her world unravel, a sense of justice being served. But underneath that, the pain was still a raw, open wound. It wasn't the catharsis I had imagined. Instead, it was like drinking poison and hoping the other person would die. Every time I heard about her losing another friend or another career opportunity, it was a reminder of the beautiful, vibrant woman I once loved, now reduced to this vengeful husk of herself. And I was the one who had done it. The brutal revenge felt heavy. It didn't bring back my trust, my love, or the future I'd lost. It just left a vast, empty space where my marriage used to be, filled with the dust of shattered dreams and bitter retribution. I was winning the war, but I was still losing myself in the process. The divorce proceedings moved forward, surprisingly, with little resistance from Sarah. The overwhelming evidence I had compiled, combined with her professional and social downfall, left her with no legal standing. Brenda presented her with a settlement that was, frankly, very favorable to me. I would keep the house, which I paid for the down payment and most of the mortgage, most of the shared assets, and she would walk away with significantly less than half, reflecting her financial misconduct. There were no children, so custody wasn't an issue. She signed the papers without much fuss, a defeated shell of her former self. Her bravado was gone, replaced by a hollow resignation. When I saw her in court, she looked terrible, drawn, pale, her eyes vacant. She didn't even look at me. The woman who had once captivated me, who had been my everything, was now a ghost. After the papers were finalized, I felt nothing. No elation, no profound relief, just a deep, pervasive emptiness. The revenge had been brutal, effective, and complete. She had lost her career, her reputation, her lover, her friends, and a significant portion of her financial stability. She was left with virtually nothing, and I had orchestrated it all. I thought this would bring me peace, a sense of closure. But it didn't. The victory felt hollow, tinged with a profound sadness. I had destroyed her, yes, but in doing so, I had also destroyed a part of myself. The anger had fueled me, giving me purpose, but now that it was gone, I was left with the wreckage of my own heart. I realized that vengeance, while perhaps satisfying in the moment, is ultimately corrosive. It doesn't heal the wounds. It just replaces them with new scars. I missed the happy, optimistic man I used to be, the one who believed in unconditional love and trust. He was gone, replaced by someone colder, harder, more cynical. The house, once filled with laughter and plans for a future, now felt like a mausoleum. Every room echoed with memories, both good and bad. I started therapy, trying to unpack the trauma, the betrayal, and the complex emotions surrounding my actions. It was a long, painful road. I was learning that true healing wasn't about hurting the person who hurt you. It was about finding a way to rebuild your own life, separate from the anger and the pain. Just a friendly reminder, if you're engrossed in this story, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking this video. Your support means the world. The therapy has been a godsend. It's tough, raw work, but it's slowly helping me untangle the knot of emotions that betrayal and revenge left behind. My therapist, Dr. Lee, keeps stressing that while my actions were understandable given the depth of the betrayal, focusing solely on hurting Sarah kept me tethered to her and the pain. True freedom, she says, comes from letting go, from forgiving, not her, but myself, for the choices I made, and for the anger that consumed me. I've started to date again, tentatively. It's strange, almost like learning to walk after an injury. The trust issues are immense. Every woman I meet, I find myself scrutinizing, looking for signs of deception, for the subtle tells that I missed with Sarah. It's exhausting. I'm honest about my past, about the divorce, but I haven't gone into the brutal details of the revenge. That's something I'm still processing, still trying to reconcile with the man I want to be. I've realized that I don't want to carry that darkness with me forever. I've also poured myself back into work, finding solace in the logical, predictable world of tech. It's a good distraction, and I'm excelling, which is a small victory. I've reconnected with old friends, making sure to cultivate relationships that aren't tied to my past with Sarah. I'm trying to build a new life, brick by painstaking brick. One day, a few months ago, I saw Sarah from a distance at a coffee shop. She looked different, not just the hollow shell from the divorce, but truly changed. Her hair was messy, she wore worn clothes, and she was alone, staring blankly out the window. The thought crossed my mind to approach her, to say something, anything. But then I stopped myself. There was nothing left to say. The anger wasn't there anymore, replaced by a quiet sorrow. Not for her, not for what she'd lost, but for the tragedy of what we once were. For the wasted years, the shattered dreams. The closure I sought in revenge, I'm now finding in moving forward, in choosing my own peace over her punishment. The pain is still there, a faint echo, but it no longer controls me. I'm learning to live with the scars, to accept that sometimes, even in love, you can get truly blindsided. And the only way out is through, no matter how brutal the journey. This journey has been incredibly isolating. even with supportive friends and a great therapist. There are days when the weight of it all feels unbearable, and I just want to curl up and disappear. But I push through. I have to. For myself. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is about self-worth. For so long, I allowed Sarah's narrative, her lies, her disdain, to define my perception of myself. I bought into her blame, almost believing I was boring, that I was distant. Now, I see clearly that her actions were a reflection of her own issues, her own insecurities, her own brutal selfishness, not a reflection of my value as a husband or as a person. It's incredibly empowering to reclaim that self-worth, to understand that I am worthy of love, trust, and respect. It's a slow process, shedding the skin of victimhood, but it's happening. I've also become fiercely protective of my boundaries. No more letting things slide. No more rationalizing away red flags. If something feels off, I address it. If someone disrespects me, I call them out or distance myself. This new assertiveness is a direct result of being walked all over for so long. It's not about being aggressive, but about valuing myself enough to demand the respect I deserve. Financially, I'm doing much better now. The house is completely mine, and I've focused on rebuilding my savings. The security I feel, knowing my financial future isn't tied to someone who would betray me so brazenly, is immense. It's a tangible outcome of all the legal and emotional battles. I still have nightmares sometimes, flashes of the journal entries, Sarah's cold lies, the gut-wrenching realization of her betrayal. But they're less frequent now, and I'm learning coping mechanisms to manage them. My focus is on the future, on building a life filled with genuine connection, honesty, and peace. It's not the life I envisioned 12 years ago, but it's the life I'm creating for myself now. A life where I am whole, even if scarred. A life where I am finally free. I've also come to understand the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. I don't think I will ever reconcile with Sarah, nor do I want to. The bridge is burned, and the foundation was poisoned. But forgiveness, for my own peace of mind, is a different beast. It's not about condoning what she did, or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about releasing myself from the bitterness and resentment that kept me trapped in the past. I'm not there yet, not fully, but I'm working towards it. It's a daily, conscious effort to choose peace over lingering anger. One of the unexpected upsides has been a deeper connection with my family. My parents and siblings were devastated for me, and their unwavering support has been a lifeline. We've always been close, but this experience forged a new level of intimacy and appreciation. They saw me at my absolute lowest, and they stood by me, offering comfort, advice, and a safe space to heal. It's a reminder that even when one crucial relationship implodes, there are other bonds that hold strong. I've even started exploring new hobbies. Picked up woodworking, something I always wanted to try but never made time for. There's something incredibly therapeutic about working with my hands, creating something tangible and beautiful from raw materials. It's a stark contrast to the destruction I orchestrated, a way to channel my energy into something positive and constructive. Each piece I finish is a small testament to my resilience, a physical manifestation of rebuilding. The loneliness still hits sometimes, especially on quiet evenings. But it's different now. It's a manageable loneliness, not the suffocating emptiness that came with the initial shock. It's a space for introspection, for growth, for simply being. I'm learning to be comfortable in my own company, to find joy in simple things, and to slowly, cautiously, open myself up to the possibility of a healthier future. This path, though brutal, is making me stronger. A stronger me, ready for whatever comes next, but with eyes wide open. Moving forward, my approach to relationships has fundamentally shifted. I'm no longer looking for someone to complete me, but rather someone to complement me. I've realized the importance of emotional intelligence and transparent communication above all else. Superficial charm or outward success means nothing if there's no integrity beneath it. I want someone who is honest, vulnerable, and willing to work through challenges with me, not hide behind lies. The scar of betrayal is permanent, a constant reminder. But I'm learning to view it not as a brand of shame, but as a mark of survival. It shows I've been through hell and came out on the other side. It's a part of my story, not the whole story. I'm focusing on building a foundation of self-love and self-respect so that I never again allow someone else's actions to diminish my worth. I've also consciously chosen to detach from Sarah's fate. I no longer follow news about her, don't ask mutual acquaintances, those who still speak to her, how she's doing, and have blocked her on all social media and communication platforms. Her life is hers to live, and her consequences are hers to bear. My energy is now solely directed towards my own healing and future. This detachment has been crucial for my mental peace, severing the last tether that connected me to the pain she inflicted. There are still days when the anger resurfaces, fleeting moments where I remember a specific lie or a particularly cruel journal entry. In those moments, I acknowledge the feeling, let it pass, and remind myself of how far I've come. I use grounding techniques from therapy, focusing on the present moment, on the good things in my life now. It's a continuous process of managing lingering trauma, but I'm getting better at it. Each day is a step further away from the brutal past and closer to a future defined by my own choices, my own happiness, and my own peace. The brutal revenge ultimately taught me that true power isn't in destroying another, but in rebuilding yourself, authentically and resiliently.